Hello, how you doing out there on this great week of good temperatures and crazy weather? One minute it's gonna be cold, next minute it's gonna be hot. And I just wanted to do a video. Um, Probably gonna upload this sometime tomorrow. I got two videos already uploaded, but it's a topic of, and it just came to me, why some people uh, why why are people like to be around people who like to be around black people but don't want to be that they want to be around black people but they listen to their music, they mimic them and act like them and things like that. Why do some people act like that? um and someone made this. I heard a young woman. I heard a woman say this earlier. Is that it simply is because of jealousy? Because if I didn't like a group of people, why would I want to be around the people that I don't particularly care for? And I would personally kind of distance and segregate myself from it if I had a problem with any group of people. I don't understand, and this is what I don't understand about people that have prejudice, but yet it's almost like they can't get away from the people that they don't like. And then what I notice with social media when it comes to uh, YouTube and Facebook, and they can have something just for black people. And no joke, someone would come up under an avatar or somebody who is these are people who are prejudiced. Want to know what's going on among these people who are black, who are African American, and what is their discussion. And they have no dealings. They don't want to. If you would see them in person, they don't really go around people who's African American. They don't know any African American people, and they already have the bias and the preconcept. And they troll people's channel when it come to social issues pertaining in one particular community, which is the black community. And one thing about most black people that I see, they don't go in other people's community talk about their situation. Whatever the other ethnic races is going on among themselves, they keep it among themselves. And very seldom you find, rarely any African American woman or man will go over there to visit someone else's site who talk about their issues, their problems among their people. And one thing I do learn about is like, boy, that some of these people who don't like black people, they obsessed with black people, which is the craziest thing I was thinking about. That's the asinine thing, that you don't like a people, but yet you'll troll them, and you'll go to the channel, and when they talk about issues and racial issues with some African Americans, especially mostly African Americans, talk about political or some social issue dealing with race. Why is it that these people come over to the channel and they hear the topic? Why do they want to stay around and hear something like that if it offends them or it bothers them? Like, why did the blacks keep bringing up about race? My question is, why would the same people keep coming over there? And if that's what their topic and that's their room, why are they trolling over there? And everything is mimicked. But every time that African Americans, whether a person who is a celebrity, whether they're a movie star, a artist like a rapper or R&B singer, or an athlete, I do notice that whatever they say is golden. But yeah, and it makes me think about this situation I made a video about this situation with the man down in Atlanta and how this owner used Ti to smooth things over. And reality is, some of these racist people know that black people, they do studies on us. And just like, for example, when you, like the beauty supply store, and I never could figure this out. Why would somebody who was Korean want to do something with African Americans or African heritage chemicals, dealing with the texture, the chemicals in the hair wigs and weaves? That mystified me just in itself. Why do with some Koreans, whether they're Korean, Chinese, or one of them Asian groups, want to go over among Africans and do African American, and yet they're scared of African Americans, and then I've seen video where there was an African American man standing next to some, and they kind of gestured that he was spell or stink or something like that, and the guy who was African American can speak Korean, so he knew what they were talking about. You know, they were kind of shocked because he could speak Korean, and I just don't understand why is the Koreans or Chinese or one of the other groups is involved in and when they're not African American, they're Asian. It'd be like me trying to fix Korean food or Chinese food. Or I had a Chinese distribution store. It's like, why? I don't know, because like that's not my culture. And it's like when they look at black people, it seems like with some of them, not all of them, but it seemed like they're just some kind of something out of space or something like that. You know, like they just scared to be around these people. Well, if you're scared to be around these people, well, how come their stores is in those rundown neighborhoods? And I never could figure out if I figured that the Chinese or the Koreans would invest in something that's mostly dealing with, if it's not dealing with their own people, that they would deal with mostly with white people, because I figured that they're more comfortable around white people. You know, they don't have to worry. They don't think too much about them coming in and stealing their stuff out of the store, or every once in a while. But especially if they live in a well-to-do area, and that's what most of them do, live out in the well-to-do area anyway. So I just don't see, and I'm surprised that, and with African Americans, why can't they invest in something that's, they know their body and learn the chemicals that they put in their hair, especially the women, and to learn the different polishes to put on you, the liquid to put it on your nails for glossing or anything, and not to paint nails, fingers, nails, and toes, and you know that it might be something that is a product that it won't make people get sick or have some kind of nervous reaction down the line. And I think that when it comes to African Americans, people from the descendant of Africans and the African American Caribbeans, that should be just their industry just alone, and just dealing with each other business. I don't see how the Koreans and these other folks come into and do business with that when it's not their hair. Their hair texture is totally different. And an Asian person's hair from an African person's hair is totally different. They can't put their hair in locks or anything. They can probably, because their hair is too thin, is mostly connected to the Caucasian white people. That's why their hairstyle looks similar to the same. Even with some Hispanic people who are like light Hispanics, like the light kind. And so I just don't understand what is at the same time they don't like you, but at the same time they're, because they're afraid of you, but at the same time they want to make money off of you. And that's just something that really comes across my mind. And I just have thoughts, things like that. And I mentioned I really don't go into no Asian restaurants to eat their food personally. I used to back about 10 years ago, and then because I didn't have the understanding of what their food was really about, and so I just don't see the fascination in it. Some people like Chinese food, and then the same kind of food that you make at a Chinese restaurant, you can make it. They teach you how to do video and make your own Chinese food. At least you know that if you put some meats in there, you know it's the actual chicken, and you know it's actual beef look like. So you know what especially come down putting what you want to mix it up with some shrimp. You know what the shrimp really look like. If you mix it up with some kind of, so at least you have an idea of what it is, and I think you would get to have your own restaurant run. And so, I've heard pastors say this, that when it comes to African American, the only way is to move among your money, move your businesses, is flip that dollar in your community, and just get behind and support the ones who invent things, or maybe they trying to come up with a store that's selling African American hair products, African American shirts and clothing and oils and minerals. I mean, different things like that, who are African American. And that's was good thing about the beauty of YouTube and Facebook. You can advertise and have build up a clientele. And I think it should be more than one or two, and then form your own community. Just like these other nationalities do. But I don't seem to understand to get away from them, to separate. You have to really physically separate from them in a way, and even unless it's something like medical, like a doctor or something like that, I don't really be around the people that just can't understand that there's different people who are than them, for one. Number two, that any place you go on the globe, somebody gonna have a different eye texture, hair texture, skin texture. So if you have this kind of "I'm over them" attitude, you don't need to be in that country. You don't need to be among them people, and you definitely don't need to be making money off of them. That's my personal feeling. That's how I feel. It's too bad some of them go to Africa, of one of all places in the Caribbean. They go around people where, they don't really think too highly of them. And then when they go down there, they're hoping that the other races of people, that's the only reason why I would think that the Chinese would go into the Caribbean. Because Europeans and Canadians and other people come down the Caribbean and they want to do business and leave out the locals down there. But they don't have some of them disrespect the locals on them islands of Jamaica and different places. And it's like, I don't understand, why do they go places where they're not going to get people who, if they feel as they're too poor, why do they feel like they have to feel like they got to be a god over them with their solution? It's like, and now they don't like the fact that the world is, seeing how they really operate, take your product and go about your business. And it's like, no, you got this kind of condescending attitude. Then all of a sudden it's like they want to cry and say that, we be discriminated, but yet you want to get the power and discriminate against other people. And that's what I don't and that's why I just don't get the understanding why some people can't see this. And like I said, I just believe that in self-preservation. I starting to understand that more now. There was a time like, yeah, we all can, but no, some people, they showing you what they really telling you by their actions. And the only best way to do is basically, I mean, it's almost like, it's like the same thing I would think about in this world. Like, if you're a person that believe in Yeshua, Jesus, you can't really go around with people who really don't want it, don't want Jesus, don't want Yeshua, don't want the life. And you believe you live a certain way, they want to live the opposite way. You may want to live, peaceful righteousness. You don't smoke or drink or fornicate with different people, but someone who's in the world, that's all that they know. So what would you really have in common with them? And they ain't trying to change. They don't. You can give them advice, and they don't want to change. So what do you do? You just have to cut them loose. I mean, you had to be basically. God would tell you to remove yourself anyway, and let them be among their own. He even had to come down to your own family that are like that. You might believe in one way, but they want to carry on the things of the world. You might be heading towards God. They going towards the world, drinking, smoking, cussing, acting crazy, and things like that. And I think that's the same way is with these other people. And I think that, I hope one day some black people in the community as a whole understand this. That it's like, hey, if they treat you like you the shield and you're nothing there, you need to reflect what they do to you in that way. You know what I mean? You don't have to get violent or wishing anything bad. Just when you have no dealings with them. I think when you show them the attitude in the other group of people like this. I don't if they're Middle Eastern or East Indian, whatever these other people, they get that kind of attitude. Show the same kind of attitude to them. Cut them off as a people. Let them be as a people, because they're not of your nation. They have something. They got this complex with skin complexion, and then you have some people about in Middle Eastern people just about your skin complexion, but don't want to connect with you as a human being. They think they're above you because they got the education, or they come from a certain class, and some come to America with that mindset. So why would I want to be bothered to be in their presence? Because one day they're gonna live this world, no matter what your education status is, your living status is. Because one thing we all got in common: if we get sick, like any human being on this planet, and something take us out, we going to the same place. Either we going to the hospital, and hopefully you come back out alive. If you don't, you're going to the grave, and that's the reality. And I don't know, and people need to understand this. They ain't no better. I don't care what your education level is and what your family prominent name is, because you're a human being like flesh and blood, like I am. And just because you in a better position as an individual, that's good. But that don't give you the right. A person think that they come over among the people and think that they're better than somebody, and start thinking this shittiest attitude. And because they got a college degree, that you could just piss on somebody. Because they work in a 4 or 5 figure job in America, and with the perks and everything, that you get shit on somebody. Yeah, nope. And I just feel that, hey, but at some point, let it affect them. And I hope, like all these other people that look down on us as black people and treat us as a dirty people, watch what some of them start getting that treatment. Watch when they start having to wait. and it may not come. It may come from private citizens. That's where it mostly come from anyway. People don't like their accent, and don't let it be a country somewhere where the part of where they're from, because you know how people in America is. They'll take it out on them. I mean, it's like, man, and they'll get to see what hate is really good. They'll get to see what's like to be looked down upon. They'll see some people call them out their name. I've seen it. I've seen folks talk about some of these folks like their dog. Talk about how the way they smell, everything. So I don't know where they get this, and I mean it's from other Americans. This is the truth in this country. So it's funny how some of these people can look at you down, towards you because you're African American, but they don't know that there's the same people they try to idolize and be around and think highly of. Some of them folks out there don't like them. Some of them don't like them either. They don't understand them. They make fun of their culture, call them it, especially with the women with the dot on their head, or they have the hijab around their head. They do, and people do that. So you're getting rough, like, and I think it's kind of shocking to some people. Like, wow, I can't believe that this is happening. It happened to baby. We're the race. African Americans always been the bottom feeders of everybody. What makes you think that you're not gonna go through what we go through? And we go through it much worse. We get followed around in the store, get jumped by the cops, and everything else. And then they don't know the story about our education system, how the way they put a generation, the way put us in the condition that they're in. But long as they got the ends, and they can. Some of these people. I mean, I was talking about this with a friend of mine earlier, but they don't know our story. They don't know that the COINTELPRO. They don't know that the crack epidemic that put people, that they were black people, that they wasn't all. Majority of them wasn't always lazy and criminal minded and living in poverty all the time. This was substantially done. And it salts to some African Americans when you got other people, some of these other people come over there and saying I guess they don't want to let themselves off by the bootstrap, and they don't even know the whole damn story, and it's an insult. I had someone say that to me, kind of say that to me personally. Luckily, I didn't go off on them, but now that when they come over here and they start feeling that, they start seeing how. Yeah, just because a few people went to your country that were from America, and they were probably most likely white, and they give you the white Christian doctrine, but they didn't tell you about the 99% of white people you're going to come across when you come to this country. The ones that have that all-American, is my way, you need to speak my language kind of mentality. I know I'm not going to speak your language. I'm not going to come to your way. You're going to come to my way, and that's the way some people in America is. So and all of a sudden they get what they call teen white supremacy when it comes to black people, but they want to get the benefits off and the privilege of putting lungs in other people. See, what it is some people don't want to feel that brunt, and when they complain when they feel that brunt and that hatred. But these same people that's going through the same hatred that we've gone through as African Americans, they don't think that they should have to go through that, because they think that their status and their educational status should be able to overlook that they're not the people that's criminally doing things in the street. That's the truth. And so they get this hierarchy attitude. Now, yeah, I live myself. I work real hard. Yeah, but some people that came to America, there were benefits. So you had to get certain connections, and some got connections through their international government to our government, and they got set up in the neighborhoods. Because you got to figure how in the world. And when I was talking about this with a friend, you American, you got to have a credit score of over 700. You got some guy coming from overseas, whether it's Latin America, Asia, Middle East, or some country like Europe or some country like that, they don't have to have a 700 score. They don't put them through no rating. And I noticed that. But yet they give them a house, they'll give them a car, they'll give them business loans and stuff like that. And I guess it would be. They'll open up doors for them faster than they would do with African Americans. This is what we're talking about. And yet the African American men and women in this country, 404 and some years, have tried to gain, prosper, farming, which is agriculture on one end of the country, try to move in business, not just move in sports and entertainment and singing career. There are African Americans that have got the education, even pay their bills, but they still got to go through but they have to do like other people, because if you don't pay like any other person, you don't pay your college loans back on time, that can work against you too, whether you're black or you're white. And that in that category, but you're white, but you're black is even worse. And some of these well-educated folks that they say, well, maybe it's because you have to have an education. Well, what some of these foreigners don't understand is that there are more educated people out there or homeless on the street right now. This is what they live by, and see, they've been kind of weaned into the system because somebody demographically helped them out in the position of power because of some representative. But people have been in America, they put in the time, the effort, the sweat, the generational, curse of being up under working and getting laid off, and family destruction of finances. And this happened to the white community, but it happened to the black community at a greater level. Every time the black men, black women try to rise, they put their foot. And this is history out this country. So some of these people that come from the world they're just catching the worst end of it, and they can't take the smoke. And African Americans been lynched not for doing anything criminal. And sometimes they would put an unjustified reason because they were living in no choice of living in poverty area. See, ain't too many and then when they went to and then when they tried to work hard and get to the areas, they had to go through a barrier out there in some of them suburbs or rural areas in America. Because you own the land now, even though you pick yourself up by your bootstraps, you paid your taxes, and maybe one of your relatives went to the service, but you don't understand. But people don't understand. This is what African Americans, but you still is a second class citizen. Why? Because your skin. Not because you're married or how hard you work. And this is majority of us, and we come from families that work hard, bust their ass and everything. We had predominantly black neighborhoods that were educated. Because I would tell this to the foreigners. Any foreigner that they come over with this hierarchy attitude. African Americans was in this kind of predicament. And it's an insult to us. And therefore you come into the community with this hierarchy attitude. So from some part of the world. But we've been going through this for the generation after generation after generation. And every time our grandparents or parents or great grandparents try to lift their butt by its bootstrap, they still had to go through an obstacle. Because the white man, it was basically telling me, you're going too far. And you didn't have only a 2% was belong to a certain society to get them in certain areas. While the majority of black people that didn't get a chance to live in that area. So that's it's an insult when people don't know the whole story behind it. Why? It's the most African one lift themselves by a bootstrap. A lot of people that like the welfare system, job and family service system. They designed it was designed for basically for white people, but they put it towards when in the 70s they put a division and discouragement with the black family that to pull the black woman out of the nuclear family so she could be a single mother, and the man couldn't stay home. So therefore, if there's no man in the house, there's no structure with no family structure with the kids coming by, and they kept the kids away from the father. So you have generations, 2 or 3 generations of raising up children without no father. This is purposely designed, but the foreigners don't know that. This is what happened with African Americans. That's why you see some of the stuff that you see when they first come over here and live in an impoverished neighborhood. It's open up their business, and that's what you see. That's the story of that neighborhood. It wasn't always like that, but it was systematically taken down, and they put a few black representatives in some government position to keep the masses down, because really behind it is behind them there's a white master that's telling what that black person do, whether they in the position of a professor or teacher or anything. White man runs both sides of the tracks, Democrat or Republican, liberal, conservative, left wing, right wing, same bird. This is what they don't know. This is why. And so every time someone's coming to the solution, it's time for them to be set free and do for our own. Then you have somebody who don't want to spoil, saying, wait a minute, we resurrogating after we didn't surrogate. Well, it didn't really prove to the advantage for the African Americans. This for separate, that integration. And I was like, wow. And I heard this from African Americans, because after when they closed the schools and integrated the schools, you had people that didn't want to go through with it. They didn't want to really integrate the schools in some parts of the state of Ohio. They wanted to keep it segregated. They wanted to keep the neighborhoods segregated. They wanted to keep the blacks learning at a certain capacity with dirty water fountains, best of bathrooms, and yeah, this is what they don't know. Run down books and in education, and then they will hire teachers to purposely single out African Americans, and they were just there. Some of them, some were there for the wrong reason. They didn't really want. They would discourage and disencourage the kids. It's not like trying to be a noble missionary thing. So you don't know the whole story. And it said that it was separation with blacks, in just as well as like they did in Mississippi and Alabama, and here in Ohio and Pennsylvania and different places they were segregated. They were segregated to go around and to get their food, and you had to wait on a white person. If a white person can step in front of your line, there's nothing you can do at that time. You be like, that's not fair. You say something, they knock you across the head, take it there, get the hell out. So hard to believe that that's part of America, but that's America. Even some of your areas you see today, 50, 60, 70 years ago, it wasn't like that. So this is the reason why some of us have an issue, and some of us is wounded from that issue. Because now, yeah, people saying it's better, but the condition of the neighborhood, and the only reason why they put some of the immigrants in some of the poor neighborhoods is basically for voting reason, for political reasons. And they get the best thing, as long as we'll provide them in best school, best education, everything. Meanwhile, the natives people of Columbus, Ohio, poor and poverty like other cities, suffers. They under suffer generational curses. But that's why they probably come up with, why this, or this neighborhood, it's just, everything's so nice and free. Yeah, I guess so. When the government is made these situations like housing, they put you on special housing for people, and just what they do, like they're gonna do with the illegal immigrants out there in the West Coast. But you got American citizens laying up on the streets. That's what I said. And but yet your Democrat cities allow this to happen. And some Republicans did too. They allowed this to happen. You know. And so that's why you see so many homeless poor people. So now wherever you go, wherever the countries where the homeless and poor is over here, that spirit is over here, going at a greater magnitude of homeless and poor people. Now you see the most highest rate of poverty people among American people, mostly white, and a good percentage of them are black, African American. And some of the people out there who are homelessness, it's not they all are lazy or anything like that. Some do have mental problems. Some want to help themselves, and some just got used to being downtrodden and written out of society. Just yeah, and then a lot of there's smart people out there that lost their jobs, lost their careers. They have college degrees. I seen a homeless. I seen a website. There were people that had college degrees. One black man had 2 or 3 college degrees. And he was homeless. I said a black one was a veteran, and just as well as white people would say same thing. But if any foreigner think that they could come over here, you got another thing you need to know. That you need to know the whole story and tell your parents who don't speak English the story, the truth. If you speak able to understand this in English, because this is a reality. That's why some of us like, even probably the same way probably over in Europe. Somebody come over and say, oh, what is these Germans or whatever, and you just coming over there with some crappy ass attitude. But they don't want to suffer being laid off from their job. They didn't put in the time, they didn't put in the work. They had to come up out of poverty. Now they got to go back to poverty because of whether it's some part of Europe or some part of some country. And then they got some people coming over, and the government just opened up doors for them. And then you got people that's over them. So it does give people kind of a hostile attitude. Then you have people coming over there thinking that they're better than them. Because it's like, wow, well, your party's not like my party. Well, it's going towards your poverty. America's heading that way. When they start cutting off resources. Yeah, they need to know the whole side of the story. But right now, I think with the African American community, with some, not all, but some, feel like they've been betrayed. We don't know. There's a certain percentage of what I hear, what I see, how they feel. Betrayed. And even someone that look like them. Then when they get to position, they're going to be ignored just to go with the mainstream. Why majority of their own people still suffer. But they respect them with power. And that's the thing about it, is African American people, period, are getting tired of being everybody's boat. Step on their back, they're bored. And everybody ride and want to fill the train. So there are a good percentage of African Americans is backing away. It's going to start being tribal. It means they're going to support their own. They're going to do it for their own. And they cut away from the other races. And kind of reach their own. Because it would probably be and I think it would be the best because since the statistics show that the gap between the white wealth and the black wealth is like this, and with whoever if Biden takes off, it's going to get even worse. Maybe with Trump even going, it might get a little bit worse. So I know other communities white communities gonna go through the same thing, but I'm just using this as saying this as an example. But you need to know the other side. That's what's going on, and that's why. And then when you see someone being unjust, killed or brutalized, a victim of crime, of course, like anybody, you get mad, you get angry, because you see the same thing over and over, and you see the same people getting discriminated in some form or fashion, some thing with racism, and it changes, it switches, and people, I try to tell people this: there's two types of racism. Is the one that's directly in your face, and then the ones that's indirectly in your face. And they don't, and it's the kind of racism that won't want to be exposed, because when it's being exposed, it's going to cost some people their money. It's going to cost people their jobs. So they don't want it be exposed. People want to keep being racist. They don't want to be fair. They don't want to share their wealth. There's people that they don't want to share their resources. That's what I meant. Everybody's down. Everybody say that we're all together. But who owns most of the land in the cities and the suburbs? What the majority of the people look like that own the land in the city? Who owns the property? Whoever owns the land, the property, owns the resources. Who owns the hospitals? Who runs the hospitals? Who's over your police department? Who runs the police department? What do the people look like? Who run your district? Who's the representatives? Where's the wealth? When they sit back on timeshares and stuff, and they sit around, they sit back on 5-6 figures, and they got properties. This is the reality. And there's a certain percentage in the white community is like that. Majority are in the white community. Not all white people are like that. But when it comes to statistically, they own, even the probably poorest white person got more money than African American. As far as land, they even said that. So, in some cases, there it is. So, here that African Americans have been in this country just as long as our Caucasian counterparts, and still trying to catch up with all the arenas, not just political, but financial, banking, education, proper, adequate health care. That's what they want. That's what they're fighting for. And is an adequate health care. And is an adequate and different discrepancy. And they use race. And they know that people who's in that position, they know that it's a race problem. They know it's a race problem. They know these statistics. But they want to sit around and talk about, well, maybe we need to, what's this discuss you already know. And really, systemically, when it comes to poor people, if they can find some way to neglect and let you die and suffer and die, they will. People don't have a heart. Some of the people in the medical community, they don't care. They don't care. That's not just black people, for poor people in general. They don't care. You know, there's some doctors that shouldn't be doctors. Some people shouldn't be in the medical field. You got some crackpots and crazies. But that's a whole different topic. But the reason why, but getting back to what I was saying, I'm sorry to get going out so far, but the reason why is because some people, they like being racist. And so, and then I was a kind of person, I couldn't understand it in the beginning. Then you get to a certain age, you get to a certain period in life, you see it. You see what the elders are talking about. And I didn't see it when I was in my 20s or in my 30s and things. And, you know, went to school in the suburbs. Mom worked hard. You know, I just understand. I just thought people were being people. But yeah, but there were some people that just because you're not in a certain class, you're not among them. And you sense that out there, and then you put into a certain category, even whatever you're in a rural or in a suburb area. This is a fact. People always trying to distinguish themselves because they're by their name or what their parents do for a living, what kind of car that they drive, a house that they live in. And some people are trying to live high in the hall, but they brokered in the mud. They can't keep a whole pantry full of food, but they living high in the hall, paying $800 in car payments, but they living high in the hog. They want to feel like they want to feel better about themselves. You got people like that. But I say this. So that's where they moved down to class. But only a few select blacks to get in there. And then even for the few selected blacks, you still black, even though you're educated, your parents got a good job. But like among some from the foreigners, they already been schooled in gang. That most of your people are poor, criminal. You may I'm not a criminal. I was born and raised out here in the suburban area. Parents live in a rural area. Don't matter. They've been conditioned. And they won't say this to you. They'll display it to you. Some people display with their attitude. Some people do. So, and right now, I think there's a segment of African Americans saying, well, maybe we should build up our own resources and do our own thing. We have our own unique, and like I said before, there's a lot of talented African American in the city. Once they just gotta know and be encouraged to know who they are. But they don't want you to know that. They don't want them to know that. They want to keep them in a state of mind at the end. But if you sit down on top of those youth, they got something to offer. They just need encouragement. Some of the people in the city, they just figure they bad kids, they wild. Not all kids are bad and wild. They just need to be encouraged. They just need to know who they are. And that they can be moved out of anything outside what their environment is. Because God put something potential in them. And as black people from this country, I just found that out from a baby boomer. That he's distinguishedly, we can invent something, make it something, we can make it go. And make a style and make it go. African American, men and women, I've seen it. When I went to DC, it changed my whole outlook on life. That's a dude. I wish that every black person in America just go to a museum. Just go and get once in your lifetime. You'll see who you are. Because what they can tell you, they think that your perception is on TV, but when you see who you are, when you see the people that come before you, inventing things, overcoming blocks and barriers, the strong history of the neighborhoods, grandparents that coming from the crop fields of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, the tobacco fields, and the things that they accomplished to get to the top is just amazing. The children that those parents, how they pushed them in school, how they made it to the top. African black people across America, I'm telling you, anybody black here in this video, go visit, so go see your lineage. Go to every African American museum you have. Once you understand and show and educate your children, let your young people see this. So no matter what the white men or those other men, them other people say, from the think that, oh, they just African Americans, they won't go that far. Bullshit. That's bullshit. Go see your hit. And then when you do something, you ride hard. You get education, you rock it, baby. Rock it. And I pray that some of you will get the support, that there will be a certain segment of people in African American that will nourish and go with the vision. Don't have this animosity and jealousy, because you can't. These other nations, many won't help you. It's a race for the resources. But there's something in young people and black people, no matter what age you are. God puts you here for a purpose. It's not to be subjugated and be put at the bottom, because some individual, by hearsay, thinking because your complexion and because your history, your people, I see your people on TV doing bad things, so automatically you gotta be put in the same category. That's bull crap. That's a bull, because that's the case in why they trying to rap and try to put their hair like you and try to talk like you, try to dance like you. Why them or their children act like that? If you're such a bad people. And some even they trying to inject color in their skin to try to be melanin and talk all like somebody said earlier, try to look biracial. It's crazy. It's like, dang, why do you want to be a people? And I was like, man, why I don't understand. It's like, why you want to be a part of the people that basically we're good for entertainment? That's it. Be your own self. Be your own person. You got act black or talk around like you black. Be yourself. Majority of the time, most black people understand where you're coming from. They be yourselves. If it ain't in you, if it wasn't in you in the beginning, that's what I would say to someone who's non-black. Be yourself around black people. You ain't gotta go out your way and go overboard. What's up, my nigga, and all that. And you ain't gotta do all that. We know what you about. That used to get me, man. Like, what the, and then you go out and see where they're from. Like they would go around, the people, and you go where they live at. None of their people don't even interact like that. And the environment they live in is predominantly, it might be more low working class, poor white, or some community like that. But it's like, man, to compare that to the inner city, come on. I mean, you go out in their neighborhood, it's like trailer parks, okay? I've been in some of these poor rural areas. I mean, it's like trailer park poverty. I mean, it's poor, is a different type of poor, but they ain't come from projects, shoot 'em up, real rough stuff like, that they do in the city. I can connect with you, dude. You out there with the farm, you out there with the wild animals. Well, where you might have experienced some kind of, as far as working parents being working poor, but you ain't had to deal with the stuff you deal with in the city. So no, there's a different poor when you go into let's say rural Appalachia, we could compare it to the rural city of whatever city you live in. You know that's a big damn doggone difference. Cause I mean, the streets, there's lights and everything. You out there, the streets, there are hardly no lights out there in them little towns. You can only go so far, and it's pitch black darkness out there. So, in a little town, they got probably had 3 stores, four schools, and a one cop station. I mean, yet I mean maybe it's not because not much opportunity out there, but they're not in the same level as the poverty that you would see, let's say in here in Ohio, like a Cleveland, or Columbus, or Cincinnati, or Dayton, or Toledo, or Youngstown, or Akron, or Canton. And then you go to a little town like Cambridge or Zanesville, or maybe some town like Lima, or I mean Bowling Green. I mean little hickory dickory dock towns. I mean they got a drug epidemic, but they ain't shooting a bang bang all the time. You get some domestic violence every once in a while. Cops come on boys, calm it down now, y'all go and have a beer and go to sleep. And you might have some individuals might be selling pills and selling weed. That's what they do out there in the country. I mean, that's what closes illegally that they do. I mean, what, knock over a mailbox? I mean, some young person, that's what they do. You know, they do is go smoke weed and go out in the woods and get some skunk weed and go out and be kicking it going down the road and yeehaw up on some country road. That's their version of the hood. You go into them communities out there. And that's what it is, the truth. But I mean, with that big city stuff, I mean, that they learn off of TV and watching rap videos and seeing the rappers in LA and Chicago and St. Louis and different areas like that. Man, the white boys, the people from them areas, man, they try to be gangster like them. No. You know, like no. You know, the people that remind me of the men now, you acting like some of them brohams in the city. I'm saying that clean version of it, but they say the N word really. But don't tell me I told you that. But anyway, that's the truth. It's like it's a different set of poverty, but the different set of circumstances is different. I mean, it's poverty, but it's in a different setting. It's kind of more because people get so bored out there, especially if it's in the rural country here, one little small towns. I mean, it's not like the city. I mean, the cops, you know, they get riled up. They'll squash you when they get out there. And if you black out there, you just start some stuff. Ooh. In a rural area too. Ooh, no. Ooh, no. But it's you know, it's just funny. You know how people try to be like us, but they don't like us, but they like your music. You know, they like your swag, your style. And it's like, wow, it's cool being black. You know, they just start talking that, you know, what's up, my cuz? What's up, my homie? You know, like, wow, you know, okay. What's up, bro? You know, nothing, dog. Oh, man. It's funny. But yeah, it's hilarious, man. I'm telling you, you know, you go to different areas of your state or wherever you live at and see how people interact. It's like, man, it's like, just be who you are, man. You don't have to go out your way. Man, you know, you might, you know, make friends with somebody. You ride alongside the car, and you see they look down, they see these set. They go, it'd be like a couple of Def Leppard songs or some heavy metal, and then you might write in some individual be nothing but country music, you know, from, you know, some country rock star, and all of a sudden they get 2 or 3 rap, and when they put in the rap hour, that's when they go old school like Tupac, man. And that was my boy back there in the day, man. Tupac was my And it, I've come across some individuals like that. Oh man, the kind of people you meet out there, some characters. But it's funny how people they want to be like you though. I mean, it's just that they want, to, and then it's funny, and some of them they get away with talking. Sometimes getting, um, um, talking to the cops real crazy, and they know that the police want me. And I'll go about beaters hairs, man. I don't give a shit. Like it's like okay, go right ahead. You know, when you do something like that, you're black. You gonna be dead. You can't do what your homeboy do. They're like yeah, but yeah, I've experienced. It's just it's just strange, man. We live in a strange time, but yeah, I think when it comes to our people, man. I think black people. I think the best thing to do is to try to seek and be around your own, because you're the only one that understand your own pain, understand the struggle and obstacles and little obstacles and run-ins with trying to get things done in your everyday life. No one knows the struggle. No one knows the wonder if you get pulled by the police and you get a bad cop, or and then you don't know you're gonna get followed around the store. I mean, you see some stuff you see lately is like, wow, you don't have to be doing nothing, and somebody gonna think you up to something. And so that's why it would, people stay in their own neighborhood and they have to worry about no one thinking that they're gonna rob their house, or they go. It's too many. If you live in a neighborhood that's been mostly black, a store is mostly black, you know, how you gonna be able to discern there's too many black people in the neighborhood? So the more you're good in numbers, but when you get around other people, and so they gotta respect the neighborhood. But when you're not around that many people, that's when they get to really showing their behind off. But yeah, it's something how the way some people want to be like black people, but they don't want that smoke. But yeah, they want your music, they want your style, they want your swag. But there's something inside of you that makes you develop the gifts that you do. And if they can figure it out, they'll zap and take credit for it like they did in the past. Every time when we invent something, they take note of it, then the credit is given to them. So you know, and it's like you stuck. Whether it's you just name it, music, entertainment. I mean, if you have ideas, oh, excuse me, black folks did it. It's still there in you. Now it's time to capitalize on what your gift is inside of you. If you're a black young man or a woman, listen to this video, or whatever, middle age or older, whatever. It's time for you to capitalize and keep it to yourself. And if you invent something, and you know, you get a support base around your own people, and to keep yourself employed and survive. That's the best thing to do in this 21st century. It's time to look out. It's time to look out for your own. It is. Everybody is looking out for their own interests, and they use you as the mule. Black people like the mule. Good for entertainment. Good for ideas. Once you're useful, they kick you aside like an old horse. They can't use you no more. They use you for quota status, just to get things in. Oh yeah, they do stuff. Even on some jobs is like that. Just to kick the status. But once they don't need you, then they kind of start shifting and acting real shitty. I've seen it. That's why I say you gotta be about your own, employ your own, and do your own thing. And don't let nobody control your destiny, your finances. And especially you get on some good paying job, and they start acting like that. They don't treat you like family, respect you for the long run. Time to cut them loose and be about your own business. So, my name is James. This is my reason why I believe. I know it's been on kind of long for about an hour, but this is the reason why I made it my opinion. This is my personal opinion. Why they look at us, but they don't like us. Because they're jealous. They just, and it's like, man, if you got that much animosity and hatred and jealous for the people, it's like, I don't want to be around someone like that. I just can't stand these people. Man, they just dirty people. They're dirty people. But yet some of these people of their culture have their business around the dirty people. The not so bright criminality people. Please explain that to me. Please, I would want to know why is it they good enough just to make the money, and then the same people. What's funny about it, before I go, is that they choose certain black people. They got their own favorites, but the rest of us, we're dirty. We're nothing. We're the N-word. And that's truth. And they don't just say it, they display it. And you don't find out until maybe one day someone come to you that have been around somebody who's not of that race, and they tell you what this person really thinks. Like, yeah, he don't mind black people, he don't mind. He like LeBron James, but he don't like the brothers down the street. Why? Because it's like someone tell me, I like black people, but I don't like the ones that them N words over there. Like, well, so you like two black people, but everybody else is just the N word. Okay, I see where you coming from with that. You want to justify the prejudice. There's some people that like to justify, and they'll say stuff like that. And them kind of people are kind of like they have some. That's a typical deflect of prejudice, and they could be. Don't matter what their party affiliate is, Democrat or Republican. Don't matter who they believe in. Don't matter if they're Christian or non-Christian. Don't matter. When they prejudice, that's a partial prejudice. It's like, I really don't know what to say to black people. It's like, don't they speak English? Yeah, well, just say, what's the big deal? But I know what I'm saying sounds silly, but you got some people who really, their reaction to you is like that. It's like, it's like, wow, there are some people, and you're going to come across some people. If you're a young man, a young woman, you're going to come across someone say some stupid stuff like that to you. Like, how you guys keep your hair like that? Like, what? They'll say some stuff like, could be some sexual orient, sexual stuff, nature stuff, and they'll kind of, and that they kind of trying to get a good idea. They'll test you with that. Just some tips and pointers. How people, what I've heard and what I've encountered in my life. And like, wow, some people, like I said, sometimes their prejudice, remember, is not always direct. It's like, well, you're just another brother. Whatever, man. But yeah. But you gotta be selective about people you're around. That's with anybody. But you particularly go around other people of another race, trust me. Be leery. And sometimes they may be alright, but some of their friends may not be alright. I've been in situations like that where like how like it's one thing if you don't know somebody and you don't sometimes some people won't even speak to you. I mean, that can happen to anybody, but I'm just using it as stating it as a fact. But yeah, when you get to a certain age, get to a certain point in time, you're young, you listen to this, everything what I'm telling you, you're gonna experience it in some form or fashion. Trust me. Trust me, trust me. Someone who's seen it and been around it, and the nicer you are, the more people let down their guard. And they'll come in, they'll say they might say something off the top of their head. Like, wow, I know he really thought that way. Sometimes it can come subtle like smoke in a room. But anyway, that's my rant, my little opinion rant for today. But I just want to let you know, well, overall, why do they think the way they do? And it's like, wow, that's the reason. And it's like, and sometimes it sounds like it gets kind of like an obsession with some people. Like, okay, you don't like black people, why you keep going to black channels? And they don't think too highly of saying something not too nice about white people. Why do you have to go and troll them? I mean, or it was they talking about why you have to go and control. I don't understand that, because sometimes I watch some other people and they go controlling, having some topic and it's dealing with a social issue, dealing with the African American community, and you get some white trolling through them. Like, why? I just don't understand. And it really is like an obsession when it comes like, why they over in their business. Like, basically stay in your own lane. Stay in your own, among your own people. But if you don't like what they say, then don't tune in. If you don't agree with someone say, don't watch their video. There's the stuff that I heard what some people say. I just don't. I'll just keep on going. I mean, it's easy. Just 2 taps, like next video. I don't understand why people who they have the prejudice, but they assess with it. It's like the thing with the guy that was head of the NFAC. Grandmaster Jay is like, okay, why you keep making videos about this guy? If you believe that this black militia, why he called him for it, I'm like, cause he felt like it was just right in his own way to feel like he needed to represent black people. Militia represent American people, but it's not included with black people. So that's why it had to be a black militia. All the people get upset. But that's it. I say it's only fair if it was a Latino militia. I wouldn't be upset and thinking, why gotta be a Latino militia? If the Latinos were like they were going through some, if it was a Middle Eastern militia or whatever. I mean, hey, they got the right. If they exercising their constitutional right, what's the problem? I just don't understand that. And why would they make a big deal about a black militia? If they ain't going out there and harming nobody, they ain't gonna go out there and do like them other ones, them secret groups do, bombing temples and blowing up government buildings and attacking representatives and stuff like that. They ain't doing that. So we about our own people. We ain't about that mess. We ain't crazy like y'all. Trying to overthrow the government and stuff like that. That's crazy. They can overthrow the government and go against the government. Yeah, I wonder why you got the FBI showing at your door. Yeah, you made an idle threat to it. representing. Well, I was just practicing my constitutional right. Well, you're gonna be a constitutional 3 months into the prison over here. 6 months. But they don't do that. They just, it's about, hey, we just trying to love and liberate our own people, encourage them not to kill each other. Just, give them. And I'm like, yeah, I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, why can't we join? It's like, well, this is like any other group. It's like every other racial group. They got their own. For one, they speak their own language. They got their own code. They got their own way, and they just feel like they feel comfortable being around their own people. And there's some people like, how come? Why can't we join the? Well, look, and he just said, can't we black people? Can we have our own thing? And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it was like me. It's like, well, how come I can enjoy the La Raza? I'm not Spanish. I don't my lineage. I'm not Puerto Rican, so I'm not going or whatever. Or Latino. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna get mad at. Man, why can't I join that Latino gang? Why can't that organization? Because I'm not Latino. Okay, get over yourself. And that's for people who are Latino descent and who speak Spanish. And that's their culture and among their men and women, whatever. Let them have their own thing. The same way with the Asian community. African Americans, let our have our own thing. We don't want to bother nobody. And I'm like, that's I heard what I say, yeah. Well, just the idea of a black militia, it's like, hey, just trying to be like everybody else. Ain't trying to hate other people. Ain't trying to. It's just that, hey, here's that people been treated like a downtrodden from these other races. So here come a man that's trying to uplift and encourage, and let's try to remove and protect and disdain from these outside crazy forces, but to do it legally by law. Do it legally, not illegally. Not go running rampant and going just jumping on folks or threatening different selective individuals. To just, hey, we just about uplifting. We trying to reserve because there's a segment of black people that feel like, just in this honestly, is reality that if you feel that you're a criminal and you feel uncomfortable and you feel that it's something with my complexion and my hair texture, my culture, and just my essence of me being black around you bother you, I figure the main thing is that let me get away from your envious, jealousy self. Let me just get away and let me be in some course it could be among my own people, but I can deal with it in a certain way. And that's basically, I think that's what Grandmaster Jay was basically saying. Is that, and it's like, why? What you being discriminatory? No, he said he's about black people. I don't care. I ain't here to hate nobody and hate these other races. And I hear other people saying, well, we got a black business to do. Why can other people join? Because it's like they already got their stuff. I mean, if anything, learn from black people. Build whether it's an Asian community, a Middle Eastern community, a Latino community, should be some, a Latino community business building up, encouraging Latinos. If it was a Middle Eastern community, build up. They know what to do. They got businesses and stuff. They have their own products and deal business and speak the English and speak the native, whatever Arabic language that their parents speak to. It's not wrong. It's nothing wrong with that. I mean, same with what you see among the Russian people, Ukraine people, whatever other Eastern European country, Middle Eastern, even with some African groups of people here. Everybody do their own thing. They feel comfortable around their own people. I mean, we live in America, but yet the majority of the time you deal with people that look like you and just feel comfortable and just expressing and feeling that you can let your hair down for a minute. That's what it's really about. But at the same time, being peace with your brother, man, even though if you come to a conflict, you just deal among your own people like they deal among their own people. It's the same thing. It ain't nothing about no separation. I mean, but some people do because they feel like if black people is not labeled intelligent and criminal and things like that, it would make sense to them to say, well, hell, I wouldn't blame these people. If I was another race of people, I don't blame them. Look, they've been looked down upon. Look at the way they've been treated. Shit. I understand why they want to go off and do their own thing. I don't blame them. They don't want to be around other people. Shit. But anyway, that's enough, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a good day, or whatever you had in the world. But that's my explanation why that people hate. My opinion why they hate us, but they can't stay away from us. It's because of those reasons. Till next time, you guys take care out there, and be blessed, and have a good one.